So isostasy can be defined as the mechanical stability between the upstanding and low-lying parts of the rotating earth. So it is a principle that determines the stability of earth crust. It is like a natural law, like law of gravitational inertia. Isostasy decides two things, which how material is distributed on earth crust, and also tells how tall elevations are able to balance and stabilize. So how the material is distributed between plateaus, plains and mountains, and how 6 kilometer, 8 kilometer tall mountains are able to balance on a broad base. So isostasy as a term was coined by Dutton, but the beginnings of the concept was given by the Booger, who went to the Andes expedition, where he found out that these massive elevations of the Andes were not able to produce equivalent gravitational pull. This is the gravitational anomaly of the Andes, where he, he placed a pendulum whose time period must have must have changed due to change in the acceleration due to gravity, but this change was not as much as anticipated. This is called as a gravitational anomaly. This became the basis of observations of the isostasy, which basically means equipoise or equilibrium. So theories or interpretations. First we have the Pratt's theory, who says that equal masses underlie equal areas. So if A1, A2 and A3, the cross sections are equal, then masses M1, M2, M3 are equal. So if the heights are h3 less than h1 less than h1 h2, therefore the densities will be in this order. So we can say that density is inversely proportional to height, or we can say the taller features are less dense and shorter features are more dense. So the rocks are made up of different materials, we can see here through the different colors, and the variation in densities is only till a certain depth, which is called as a compensation depth or level of compensation. This is the line of compensation, and after that density variations are compensated because of the rocks and minerals underneath. So up to this level the densities varies, can be seen from the different colors, and after this the density is same because of the same rock type. So here there will be different rock types. So therefore Pratt can explain why oceans are thin only 3 kilometers and continents are thick like 60 kilometers. Also why oceans are dense with a 3.5 and 2. Oceans are less dense with a 2.5. And this was modified by Hayford and Bowie, who said that depth of compensation is up to 100 kilometers. This matches with the concept of lithosphere floating over asthenosphere, which can be seen here. This continental crust, ocean crust and lithosphere, with including the upper part of the upper mantle. So Pratt's interpretation was mainly based on principle of compensation, which balances and stabilizes the landform. Next, let's see the Airy concept. This was given chronologically first, later Pratt was given. So according to Airy, unlike Pratt, who uses the principle of compensation, he uses the flotation principle to stabilize the landform. So according to him, landforms are floating like blocks of wood on water. So for every portion above the water, there is a portion underneath the water. So this portion underneath the water, it provides the buoyancy upliftment and thus stabilizes the landform. So basically he's using the Archimedes principle, that submerged part provides the buoyancy balance. So for him, all landforms of same density, which can be seen from the same color here, and balance is because of the portion underneath, which we are already seen. Therefore for him, landforms will have roots. So taller landforms will have deeper roots and shorter landforms will have shallow roots. Now let's compare Pratt and Airy. For them, first in terms of stabilization, for Pratt it is because of compensation of density, for Airy it is because of flotation principle. In terms of density, for them, Pratt varying density with uniform thickness, whereas for him uniform density with varying thickness. For depth he has, for after compensation depth, it is same, density same from all. Tall landforms have deep roots, we have seen the figures already. And also for Airy, if there is loading or unloading, if there is loading, the landform will sink, and there is unloading, the landform will bob out to maintain the stabilization. In reality, Airy is more correct, but all landforms having same density is wrong. Also now established that ratio of part above and part below the surface is 1:8. So if 1 kilometer is above the surface, 8 kilometer will be the root. Therefore Airy can explain why continents are so thick and have deep roots like 60 to 80 kilometers thickness, and why oceans are thin. Now let's come to the modern interpretation according to plate tectonics theory. This is more aligned with the area as we have seen already, but there are certain modifications. First modification is that isostasy is a global phenomenon, whereas for Airy it was a local phenomenon. There is change in this landform only, it won't affect the other landform, but for PDT, if there is change in this landform, all these landforms will also be affected. Second, the Earth's surface, it behaves like a stretched membrane. We can see here this is a stretched membrane which has flexural rigidity. So on this membrane all the landforms float. So we see these are independent and these are floating together. So one is disturbed, all others is disturbed. So flotation is possible because of the olivine mesosphere, which is semi-molten and can deform when stress is applied. So when landform is loaded, when the landform is loaded, the olivine will flow away, so flows out and pushes the landform surface. So this undergoes subsidence where it is loaded, and all others will get uplifted. This can be seen in the areas with the deposition. And when the landform is unloaded, which happens when there is ice melting, mining, deforestation, or erosion, olivine will backflow and it will be uplifted, and the rest of the others will be undergoing subsidence. In reality, these isostatic imbalances can be seen in Scandinavian highlands, which have been uplifted due to the melting of ice sheets in the Pleistocene Ice Age, Pleistocene Ice Age, and also it can be seen in the recent deglaciation at Arctic and Antarctic, and also in if there is some large scale construction like dams or mining, deforestation, etc.